Okay.
Glad to see you. We on the air? Calling to order the council meeting of City of Pepper Pike, Wednesday, October 23rd, 2024. Please call the roll.
Mr. Newell?
Here.
Ms. Atra?
Here.
Ms. Weltman? Ms. Godick?
Here.
Mr. Lemay?
Here.
Mr. Gentili?
Here.
Dr. Wong? Here.
Okay. We are now going to proceed to join me in reciting the pledge. We should remember that people focus on the opening line, pledge allegiance to the flag. But what we're really pledging allegiance to is to and the republic, the constitutional republic that it symbolizes. And this 2 weeks before an election is a good time to remember that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I am going to ask our audience to be patient for 10, 15 minutes still. I would ask and entertain a motion for adjournment to an executive session to discuss the appointment of public officials.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Newell?
Yes.
Ms. Atra?
Yes.
Ms. Godick? Yes. Mr. Lemay?
Yes.
Mr. Gentili?
Yes.
Dr. Wong? Yes.
And this should be brief, and we'll try to be back as quickly as we can. Thank you. You want me there?
Hey, guys.
Trail this weekend.
Okay.
They were up on top of the hills.
The mounds of dirt.
It's okay, but.
Always.
Right.
So I took a picture and I was like, post something.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, Bob. Thank you.
Give them a dirt pile and they'll find something to do.
All righty.
Exactly.
The executive session has been adjourned, and this council meeting is resumed, and we turn back to our regular programming. The first agenda item this evening is ordinance 2024-34. This is the NOPEC ordinance that is here tonight on third reading. We have Tony Ramos, our relationship manager with NOPEC, here tonight, and appreciate your being here, Tony. I can, if you have anything of your own to say, you're welcome to, but generally, Tony went over this with council previously. Tony helped us notice and personally conducted the public hearings that were necessary for this, and he had informs me that they were successful. He had engagement with at least one resident, and we're ready to proceed this evening on ordinances 2024-34 and 35. So 34 is called for third reading, and first I'll entertain a motion, a second, and then we can have any further discussion and that you may wish to engage about it.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please, regarding ordinance 34.
Mr. Newell?
Yes.
Ms. Zatra?
Yes.
Ms. Godick?
Yes.
Mr. Lemay?
Yes.
Mr. Gentili?
Yes.
Dr. Wong? Yes.
Thank you. And now I would like to call on third reading ordinance 2024-35. We have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion about that? Not hearing any, roll call, please.
Mr. Newell?
Yes.
Ms. Zatra?
Yes.
Ms. Godick?
Yes.
Mr. Lemay?
Yes.
Mr. Gentili?
Yes.
Dr. Wong? Yes.
Thank you very much. They are adopted. Mr. Ramos, thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you for your efforts to bring this matter to our attention and to get the appropriate legislation adopted for it. Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
You
Good
too.
evening.
Thanks.
Good luck.
Next, we turn to ordinance 2024-36, dealing with the composition of the codified ordinances of the city of Pepper Pike on second reading.
I'm noticing that I did not get subdivision C put into this ordinance, so I need to get that done. And I assume we don't have to have that done this week, right, Chief?
Right.
Okay, we'll get, next month is sufficient?
Okay, so we will have it for third reading next month. Next, we then will turn to ordinance 2024-37, which is dealing with the amendment of Chapter 1510 regarding our stormwater management program. Don, you just want to quickly remind us what this is?
Yeah, we have a permit to discharge stormwater into waters of the U.S. that comes from the Ohio EPA, and periodically we need to update our language to match theirs. Their language does change over time. Sometimes there's new technology. Sometimes there's a change in either increasing or reducing the requirements for different items, and it's all. I think we want our language to be consistent. Makes it more understandable for developers, people that are building, and to be consistent from community to community, as opposed to each town having some various different requirements. And if we do have an obligation to maintain our documents and to have them current. Part of our permit.
Okay, thank you. Are there any further questions that anyone has of Don? All right, then what I would recommend is that we suspend and get this adopted. Could
Motion
you?
to suspend?
Motion, okay.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Knoll?
Yes.
Ms. Atrop?
Yes.
Ms. Godick?
Yes.
Mr. Lemay?
Yes.
Mr. Gentili?
Yes.
Dr. Wong?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And a motion for the adoption of ordinance 37, please.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Any further discussion? Not hearing any. Roll call, please.
Mr. Knoll?
Yes.
Ms. Atrop?
Yes.
Ms. Godick?
Yes.
Mr. Lemay?
Yes.
Mr. Gentili?
Yes.
Dr. Wong?
Yes.
Marvelous. Thank you. Next, we would entertain a motion for the service director to purchase a John Deere tractor with a loader using the Sourcewell Purchasing Consortium. Jim, you want to take us through this, please?
Yeah, this is our oldest piece of equipment we're replacing here. We went through this vendor because this vendor has actually got the state purchasing, but it was cheaper for us to go through Sourcewell through the same vendor by like 0.5%. So that's why we chose Sourcewell. It's a budgeted amount. We had 55,000 set aside. It came in at 52,138. And this vendor also is going to give us a trade-in. So the trade-in value on our older piece of equipment is $8,500. So we're net 43,638 on this piece of equipment.
Is it surprising to you that Sourcewell would be cheaper than the state contract? Shouldn't it never happen like that? Or I'm curious.
No, not surprised because they pretty much run equal. State is kind of, I think the state is more of a particular thing. Okay, so they want Tahoes, but
Yeah.
with a tractor, there's so many different brands. If you could use Sourcewell, you're being able to have a bigger variety to choose from.
Huh.
So you're not honed in on one exact thing. So that's why I think Sourcewell is getting bigger, and
So
that's
they have
why
some-
they have a little more clout.
A little more buying power than
Yeah, a
maybe.
little more buying power. So
Interesting.
they're getting stronger and stronger. Where it used to be the state contract was the strongest thing going.
Right.
Now it actually did pass it up by
Interesting.
like 0.5%.
Because always before the state contract was hands down, that's the lowest price you're going to get because the
Yeah.
state had buying power.
But you were also buying exactly what they had spec'd out.
Yeah.
And this way you have a little bit more flexibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would guess that Sourcewell is not limited to the state of Ohio, which might
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a national thing.
increase their buying power.
Power. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
And how old was the one we're trading?
it's a 99.
99.
Yeah.
Really?
So we got a lot of use out of it, but we also got a very good trade-in value. So that's why we're not going through gov deals. We're going straight through a trade-in. So
Yeah.
and it chops a lot out of it, so it's not hitting the budget as hard.
Great.
Okay. Any other questions? That said, can we have the motion authorizing the purchase?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Knoll?
Yes.
Ms. Atrop?
Yes.
Ms. Godick?
Yes.
Mr. Lemay?
Yes.
Mr. Gentili?
Yes.
Dr. Wong?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next, we are going to move to a police issue, a motion for the police department to sell our obsolete tasers with the accessories and gewgaws that go with them. And Chief, would you like to take us through this?
Sure, we've had them for about 8 years, and Axon, the manufacturer, didn't want them back. Recommended either throwing them out or trying to sell them. So at the time, we paid maybe $38,000 for them 8 years ago for all the accessories and the actual tasers. And we came up with a number of $5,000, and immediately Glenn Willow signed up for it because they needed tasers. So it
Great.
worked out well.
How many tasers is that we're talking
It's
about?
18 total,
18?
and then there's some holsters and accessories and also cartridges and batteries with them.
Well, we're happy to help out Glenn Willow with these things, so that's great. Anything else, council? All right, can we have a motion authorizing the sale?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Knoll?
Yes.
Ms. Atrop?
Yes.
Ms. Godick? Yes. Mr. Lemay?
Yes.
Mr. Gentili?
Yes.
Dr. Wong?
Yes.
Okay, great. We're now turning to an item that's been lingering on our docket for a while, the appointment of a new member of our Architectural Board of Review. It's my pleasure this evening to recommend for appointment a 25-year resident of Pepper Pike, Mr. Charles Steiner. Charles goes by Chip, if that it refreshes anyone as to who Charles is. Marvelous guy. I've gotten to know during our centennial year where Chip served on the Centennial Committee, and he lives in a 100-year-old house himself, and has done a great deal of renovation, thoughtful and tasteful renovation over the years that he's lived there. And I think he has met with the members of our Architectural Board of Review, who are very comfortable with Chip receiving this appointment. And it's my recommendation that we proceed with this. If there's any discussion or not, then I would simply ask for a motion approving the appointment of Charles Steiner to the Architectural Board of Review.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Newell,
Yes.
Ms. Zatra,
Yes.
Ms. Godich,
Yes.
Mr. Lemay.
Yes.
Mr. Gentile.
Yes.
Dr. Wong.
Yes.
That's great. Thank you very much. Next, we'll move on to our committees and department heads. Mr. Lemay, Finance Committee met this evening.
Yes, we had a brief Finance Committee meeting at 7 tonight, and I can tell you we continue with a very strong financial performance for the city. Income tax and revenue is just slightly under budget, but made up by other sources of revenue, particularly interest from our savings has become an important revenue item. Expenses are in line with, largely in line with budget, and we continue to have a very strong cash position. So no particular anomalies or difficulties to report. Great meeting, and thanks to Joe.
Just wanted to ask one question.
Mhm.
On the billing list, the fourth from the bottom is Beechwood City, 26,737. And the explanation is blanket PO for prisoners. Is that the cost of them housing our prisoners?
For 26,000?
Yeah.
No, that's just probably the language it picks up. Most of it is probably dispatch services.
Okay,
Is for what, sir?
Dispatch services?
Oh, okay.
yeah. Can we correct that description?
No, because it truncates, and that we have one PO that has housing of prisoners, and it also included in that same PO is dispatch services.
Huh.
So it's only gonna pick up a certain piece of it.
It's not editable? It couldn't be edited?
Well, we could fix it for next year.
Yeah, I
It's,
mean,
it's one line item though, you understand?
Right.
yeah, I mean, if we,
Okay.
you know,
And it does
Description.
occasionally include prisoners because
Well, there's, yeah,
there are sources
if we have somebody that goes to jail, we pay Beechwood for that.
for that, right? Okay.
But that's such a small dollar amount,
Yeah.
but it's based on the language that was typed into the PO.
the description should be accurate, I guess, is what I'm,
Yeah, if we do that for
Hoping-
next
hoping
year,
for
just
it,
to, 'cause the biggest chunk is,
Okay.
yeah, okay.
That was our only committee meeting, I believe, since
no,
last
we
week.
had
Oh, we had
Charter
a
review.
commission.
We had a charter review commission on Saturday, October 19th, that started at 8 o'clock and went all the way almost till 11 o'clock, so almost 3 hours. I wasn't able to be there for the whole meeting, but I did get the minutes, draft minutes, and a lot of the time was spent continuing the discussion of a possibility of a council president and fleshing out the duties of that position. There were several public comments that came in from about a half dozen or so of our citizens who were interested in contributing to the process. They went on to talk about the provisions for removal of elected officials and how that would look, and also whether there should be residency requirements for our elected officials, and whether the mayor and the council should be the same or different if they are, if we do want to have residency requirements.
I mean, term of residency.
Hmm?
A term of residency. You're already required to be a resident.
Well, a length, yes,
Exactly.
okay, term, yeah, okay.
Lengthening of the term.
More
Yeah,
accurately,
Yeah.
more accurately. There's nothing in the charter about it, so the next meeting is actually tomorrow evening at 6:30 PM. And some things that will be on that list for them to talk about are term limits, whether the charter review will become something that is automatic and scheduled at a predetermined amount of time rather than 60 years. Continuing with Article 4 regarding the mayor and discussing the position of vice mayor and whether that would be, if with a president of council, whether that would be necessary or the president of council would assume whatever those duties, which is basically to step in for the mayor if something happens to him or if he's unable to attend a meeting and somebody has to run the meeting. That's what's coming up, and tomorrow night at 6:30, if anybody's interested.
Thank you, Tony. I believe that's it. Department heads?
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
there is a toy collection going on that's we're getting pretty close to our goal from what I understand. I don't know the particulars when that stops. I think it's the end of the month here.
Stops on the 20th, I believe,
20th, yeah. If you,
of November. And we're going to roll that into then our holiday Harvest for Hunger drive.
right. So, yeah, I mean, it's being well attended for our people. They're just getting a lot of gifts over there. It's kind of nice to see all the toys and, they're stuffed in the building all over the place. So we can encourage everybody to continue with this.
And I would say it's super easy because you can just click and ship it right to the service department. You don't even have to go shopping.
Well, who's the sponsor of this?
Isn't it like Department of Children Family Services?
Yeah, it's like family services.
Okay,
For kids in foster care, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, this is for kids in foster care.
okay, great.
It's actually
For the
been
holidays.
very successful.
I think it's called Home for the Holidays. Yeah. It's a very nice program, and I want to congratulate the members of the Centennial Committee for making this one of the closing events for the Centennial. I think it's very appropriate that in a community that has been blessed to be as successful as ours is over the last 100 years, that we take these moments to give back to people in need, and children in need are always, high value target for us to focus on to make sure that they're taken care of, particularly during a holiday season. So thank you, Jim, for reporting on that. Anyone else? Chief, you had something?
Yeah, just real quick, the hydrant painting project in Parker Point is complete. So all 851 hydrants have been painted. Thanks to the service department, we acquired a device. It was a wire brush that they attached to their skid steer. So they did all the wire brushing. We did all the painting, and all of them have been complete. Kudos to the Cleveland Water Department. They've been an excellent partner. We've had several hundred hydrants replaced in the past 2 years. So, they came out, they looked closely at the ones. We actually had one on Fairmount Circle that was stamped 1928. So it was kind of nice to get that one replaced too. But everything is up to par.
Yeah.
How many hydrants do we have?
851.
851.
Chief, we used to put those poles on the hydrant for the snowbanks. Do you just know where they are now better than we used to?
We can see them better now because there is some reflective on it, so that helps.
Okay.
And we're hoping global warming will.
Solve that problem.
Yeah, it's really critical. Thank you, Chief, for reporting on that. This hydrant maintenance program is an enormous undertaking. 850 hydrants to be brushed down and painted, and more so for over 250 to be replaced. which we do thank the Cleveland Division of Water for their, partnership on that. It's enormous, and it's not simply a cosmetic issue of keeping these hydrants looking fresh along the streets. It's to make sure that they're functional along the streets. And the chief has lots of stories of firefighters showing up on a blustery winter night and the fire hydrant doesn't work. And that's, it's not something that anyone wants to occur. And that is why we invest this time, effort, and money into making sure these hydrants work properly. So thank you, Chief, for your department and the work done into the service department for their contribution to this. Chief?
Here.
Yes.
Question about that. My recollection is that we made an agreement with Cleveland Water, and they own our water system, right?
They own the mains, yes.
The
They own the
mains.
pipes.
Do they own the hydrants too?
I would think they would, but
They're paying for them, so they paid for them,
them.
so I think they own them.
yeah.
How many did they replace?
Several hundred.
And roughly what cost
Yeah.
these? 1,500?
So,
Another benefit of the water. agreement.
Right,
Installed
right.
probably
So-
10,000.
by not poaching businesses from Cleveland, we got something in addition that
We
hadn't
got something for that.
contemplated.
No, we've gotten a lot. We've
And
gotten millions of dollars of water line replacement
Right,
already from it.
Right, and so are we, do they replace hydrants throughout the county, or
Yes.
they do?
Yep.
And do you have to put yourself on a list to get yours replaced, or do they just,
Well, so it's a great question. The part-timer that worked with Cleveland Water is kind of an expert on hydrants. So Cleveland Water actually came out and they went, the ones that were in question, they went hydrant by hydrant and actually physically, pulled them apart or handled them.
no, what I meant is, are we in competition with other cities
Oh,
to get our hydrants done versus, Cleveland Heights, or? That might be a bad
probably,
example.
I'm sure the need is, across the
I would think,
county.
yeah.
And
So-
talking with the contractors, they said they try and do, if they're in one city, the next day they're in another city. They try not to concentrate on when they keep moving around, just so they don't get too tied up in one city.
I just want to make sure everyone heard that you said they cost 10,000 a piece. You would guess?
I believe it's about 10 grand installed.
That's wild. That's a lot of money. But
And it's almost 25% of our hydrants got replaced,
Yeah.
or 20%. Yeah. So, good work, Chief.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Want to remind everybody with kids or little grandkids that trunk or treats this weekend, Friday night at the Pepper Pike Learning Center. So we'll be up there, Orange as well, Moreland. And the kids can just trick or treat right there in the parking lot. It works out nice.
6 p.m. is when it kicks off. Thank you, Chief. Knock that one off my list. Tomorrow night, the Pepper Pike Civic League will be having its issues and candidates night. It's unfortunate that it conflicts with our Charter Commission meeting. I asked when they first announced this date at a rather late time, that couldn't they move it earlier in the year before voting actually had started? And they had their own scheduling conflicts as to why that could not occur. So it's tomorrow night, and I would encourage anyone who's interested in meeting our candidates and hearing the issues presented, that they attend this wonderful civics lesson of local politics and government, where the candidates and issues are given an opportunity to meet the public. I will be there presenting on behalf of Pepper Pike's own issue 38. That is our fire levy. So I will not be able to be in attendance at the Charter Review Commission, which I regret. But it is obviously all important that our city be represented on and have presented this very important issue 38, which provides the support for most of the expenses of our fire department. So we'll see any of you there who managed to make it. That's really about all I have otherwise for this evening. Council, do you have anything?
Based on our conversation last week about our calendar and possibly changing the cadence of our meetings, I am giving this another shot. So I'll give you one. You guys want to take one and pass it down. Listening to what Steve had suggested, the days that were available to him, I mocked up one for the second and fourth Tuesdays. It looks like we could, okay, so page one is just in green are any conflicting holidays. In red, I tried to anticipate planning and zoning meetings. And then the second and fourth Tuesdays are in orange for us just to get a visual. On the second page, I listed the dates and I circled a couple of the Tuesday dates that would potentially conflict or are conflicting right now with either a planning and zoning meeting that could be shifted there or a holiday. So I tried to just kind of look ahead. I have a couple solutions for those potential conflicts, which mainly would occur in September. I know that Steve usually moves because of his availability for planning and zoning, that Monday meeting gets moved to the following Tuesday. But if we were to use that following Tuesday for our council meeting, it would displace the planning and zoning meeting, which may not be a real big challenge. They may be able to meet later in the week. And then in September, there's also a holiday conflict. I believe it's Rosh Hashanah that would be occurring, that maybe we could look for an alternate date, like perhaps moving it to that Wednesday, which I think Steve would still be available for that. So I tried to put some thought into our solutions that maybe we could all be present. And then the other one was Veterans Day in November. I did see a conflict there. I wasn't sure if that was a date that City Hall was closed for.
No, we're open.
Okay, I wasn't 100% sure, and then I didn't know as a group how we felt about potentially meeting that day. If we're okay with it, okay. If City Hall's going to be open, then it wouldn't be a conflict. If it is, and somebody wants to celebrate and be mindful of it, we could look to an alternate. But so I just wanted to put it out there, kind of see how it feels, because the end of the year is wrapping up, and I think for us to plan for 2025, this would be helpful. So I hope it helps all of you.
Okay, thank you.
I'm pleased to see this. So Amy, the green circles, like in April, is that like spring break, or is
That
that?
is actually, I believe, Passover. Page 3 lists the holidays that I came up with. Passover is from April 13th through the 20th. So I circled those all. And then in there is also Good Friday and Easter Sunday.
Okay.
So it ends up being like a bunch of holidays that
Got it.
various,
And then in December, all the
Celebrate.
green circles, like the week of the 15th, those green circles are
repeat that, Jim.
in December, the week of the 15th.
The week of the 15th, I believe that's Hanukkah.
Okay, got it.
15th is Hanukkah, and then we have Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and Kwanzaa
Right.
all thrown in there. So there are a lot of holidays. That doesn't mean that those dates are an absolute no.
Right.
But I want to be mindful of any celebrations or just be thoughtful to kind of look at that. So December is obviously a pretty scrunched month anyways. And I did make a note that we also need to sneak a budget meeting in December. So that month looks a little messy to me, but I think with some planning, we can come up with a good solution.
We've typically done that budget meeting on the first Saturday.
Mhm.
So maybe if we had two meetings in December, one being that Saturday, we could just circle that now if possible.
Yeah.
And then the 9th, and then, kind of.
If you needed one, you could probably have one on the 30th, which doesn't look like a holiday if it were absolutely necessary for year end.
Right, but that would be a third meeting.
An emergency, yeah.
Yeah. Either that, or we could potentially adopt it as is, and then we cycle through and deal with it. which is what we've done in the past. I think that looking to change our cadence for next year and preparing for that is as soon as possible is really a good idea. I think it's really going to help us with our work.
Yeah, thank you.
It's gonna
for
be a
doing this.
positive change.
This is, I think it's really going to be helpful.
So just to move this forward, pulling council reaction to this is Tuesdays and second and fourth Tuesdays. Good. Is there anyone who has a unsolvable conflict, or can we just go ahead with that as our
I'm good with it.
good?
I did have a chance to speak with Melanie.
Okay.
And she was comfortable with kind of whatever the team
Wait, this is
decided.
getting, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
go ahead.
sorry.
This-
Go ahead, you can interrupt me.
This is, thank you. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
It's okay.
I was responding to Jim.
Okay.
I was busy focused on what he said. Is this eliminating all of our Wednesday meetings then?
Yes.
Okay.
We would then just move to second and fourth instead of, second and fourth Tuesday instead of third and fourth Wednesday. Based on Steve's schedule, we
Yeah.
wanted to do every other Wednesday and that wasn't possible. So I tried to be mindful and listen to the feedback that our law director gave us last week and come up with an alternative solution that would be a win for all of us. So hopefully that's what this is.
One
Our
thing,
Thursdays are an issue for Dr. Wong.
Which is why I looked at Tuesdays.
one thing I would like to request if we do this would be for the materials to come from the administration on Thursdays instead of Fridays, so that we still have as many days to prepare. To the extent that they can get the materials, the agendas and ordinances and things out.
The Thursday before.
The
week.
Thursday before instead of the
Yeah,
Friday.
good idea.
Okay,
Gives us much time.
let's pick this up. This is a lot to digest. A lot of little circles, a lot to digest here.
That's why I
Good job, but a lot of little circles.
Well, we've got
That's the nature of it.
So that everybody's aware, what we would need to do is change our ordinance. The
Okay.
ordinance currently provides for the work session and the regular meeting.
Yeah.
And back-to-back weeks. You're proposing, and I think this makes some sense, to have 2 regular meetings.
Yes.
And just do away with the special meeting.
Yeah,
Which used to be the committee meeting way back in the day.
yeah.
Over 13 years ago.
I agree. That was a practice that was adopted, 15 years ago or 12 years ago and never really. So, and there's the charter just says 1 regular meeting per month. So adding another regular meeting, there's no, other than changing the ordinance, Steve, which is just administratively keeping our house in order. Anything else we need to do to execute on this?
No, once you have it, you post it to your website.
Pardon me?
Post it to your website to give notice.
Give notice,
But
sure.
that's part
Well,
and
can
parcel
you-
of passing the ordinance.
Can you, for the next meeting, then prepare that ordinance amendment? And then what do we need to do in terms of the charter also says every year the council will adopt a schedule. So is this just a motion by council to say this is when we're meeting next year?
Well, if you can adopt a rule, but what you've done in the past is have the ordinance stand as the rule,
Okay,
which makes it law until you choose to change it.
okay,
So, there's more than one section of 220.01 that I need to look at. The one is the 3rd Wednesday and the 4th Wednesday, blah, 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 blah. I need to go back and read this over.
okay.
Because it deals with other potential dispositions of minutes, of meetings. So if you have a regular meeting and you wanted to, if you wanted to adjourn to tomorrow afternoon at 4, you could do that from this
Mhm.
meeting, and the ordinance
Because it's a
doesn't.
regular meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and special meeting, you can't do that.
And
You'd have to renotice the
Right,
special.
right, right.
Yeah.
I would like to second Jim's request so that we have 3 council members, then we can have that on the agenda, or we can
No, I
have.
don't have a problem
ordinance
putting it on the agenda.
drafted.
I just can't really react to this.
Well,
calendar.
we want to have the ordinance drafted.
I think it should be on the agenda next time.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be official. You can just,
Okay.
I took Jim's
Okay.
suggestion right on its face. As I always take everyone's suggestion on its face. You want it on the agenda? We're going to put it on the agenda.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
not a problem.
Thank you.
So Steve, could you proceed with that? And so the next meeting we'll have a draft. Okay, great.
Yeah, but I think everyone needs to, study these calendar dates and I do thank the councilwoman for her efforts on it. And, check with your own calendars.
Question, are all the department heads?
And I need to check with my department heads, our department heads, yes.
Okay.
Get their reactions to all this. And I hope council will, entertain what those thoughts are. It may be great, but we'll have to see how this plays out. Okay. We may lose our engineer every time. I don't know. Thank you. Thanks,
Amy.
All right, anything else or audience comments?
I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there gonna be a porta potty out this winter or
Put a potty on what?
this winter?
Yeah, but we haven't shut the
Right.
thing down yet.
Yeah,
so
it's warm still.
Those days are coming, so.
Great.
All right, and any audience comments? Yes. You got to say your name and your address.
Bob Rice, 2445 Edgewood Trace. Looking forward to meeting with Steve next Tuesday to talk about garbage and recycling pickup. So between me and Ken Lurie, Mayor, great job on the bike ride. Thought that was a great little event. Really happy to see the sidewalks going in. Great work on that, and the construction looks very quick. My question, so I think I was here 2 meetings ago. I apologize for missing the last meeting. I was out of the country. So I'm playing catch up. How far is that sidewalk on Lander going?
On Lander, that one goes to Fairmount Gates Mill Circle. Then it goes north on Lander
Okay,
to the northern driveway of Ursuline, and then, or southern driveway of Ursuline. And then a 5-foot concrete path is going to extend from that driveway to the northern driveway.
can I ask why we're not going all the way to Cedar Road to make it a straight shot?
I'm happy, but you can follow that. So,
Yeah.
so part of it is,
I mean,
We don't-
I could cover it.
go ahead.
If we put the rest of it all the way through,
Yeah,
there's a fair amount of coordination that we'll need to do with Mayfield Heights because we have a signal there. So when you introduce a pedestrian to a signal, there's a lot of work that needs to happen on that signal.
I get
And we don't
that.
own the signal.
Yeah, but the sidewalk wouldn't go into Mayfield Heights, it would stay in Pepper Pike.
If you touch that intersection with a ramp, because we need to put a curb ramp there, because if you have to have handicap access, we're putting a pedestrian potentially in harm's way by not having a place for them to cross. So the signal and Mayfield Heights has to be worked out in some way,
Okay,
and we have not done that piece yet. So
okay.
that last little bit,
Because I can't assume,
it could
I
happen,
assume
but
it's gonna be very inexpensive. That's.
No, and
no,
then,
no, well, the signal
not the
stuff,
signal, but
yeah,
Just the path.
right.
Okay,
But so
Thank you, Bob.
it's something that we're looking at.
Okay.
okay. Anyone else? We stand adjourned.
Wow. I can answer. I've heard that one.
Oh, you're welcome, Steve. I didn't try to poke you in the eye last meeting.
No,